Hey guys, Andy here, and we need to talk about why I quit making videos for my YouTube channels. When I started editing videos for others, it was to help my friends. That eventually turned into a freelance side hustle that gave me some financial breathing room for when my day job came up short. But freelancing completely changed my relationship with video editing. I went from seeing it as self-expression to asking what will work for someone else's audience. It's not a bad thing in and of itself, but it did feel removed from the creative process. Over time, it shifted from stewarding someone's vision to just going through the motions for a couple bucks. And to be clear, I'm not talking negatively about any of my clients. I'm genuinely grateful for every project. That kind of trust is very hard to come by. But I do have to be honest about where my head was at. Because when I looked back at my work, I noticed something uncomfortable. I wasn't getting better as an editor. I was just getting more efficient at delivering the same thing consistently. I'd go to put together a new demo reel and realize it looked pretty much identical to the last one. And if you stay at the same level, you can only expect the same pay, which is exactly what happened to me. Freelancing is still one of the fastest ways to get paid as a creative, but if you're not chasing new clients or renegotiating with existing ones, you stagnate. Or worse, work dries up entirely. You end up on a treadmill, busy, but not actually going anywhere. This is where my own videos come in. For those who don't know, I quit my full-time job earlier this year. There's more about that on my personal channel if you're curious. My thinking was that without a job eating up my time and energy, I could finally make my own stuff consistently. But that didn't happen. I made a few videos, sure, but nowhere near what I planned. Looking back, there were two reasons for that. One, when I had client footage sitting in my queue, working on my own videos felt like neglecting them. I'd worry that if a client saw me post something new, they'd think, okay, Andy, so my video's taking forever, but you've got time for your own stuff? Okay, I see what you're doing. And two, financially, it just didn't seem to add up. At the time of this recording, I'm not earning anything from this channel, and my personal channel earns a pretty small amount per video. So why set aside a guaranteed paid project to make something that might get a few hundred views and earn me nothing? Why make a video for myself that a couple thousand people might see at best, when I could make something for a client that tens of thousands, maybe more, will watch? On paper, it looked like a waste of time. But here's what I missed. By stopping completely, I hollowed out my relationship with making videos altogether. It stopped being about self-expression or connecting with people. It became about hitting someone else's metrics. Short-term solution, long-term consequences. But here's what's interesting about how this affected Edit with Andy specifically. By most metrics, this channel outperforms my personal channel. More subscribers, more views per video, more comments. The tutorials did well. But there's something metrics can't measure: community. My personal channel has regulars. People who show up to every video, leave real comments, sometimes DM me just to check in. This channel has none of that. It's transactional. Someone finds a tutorial, watches it, maybe leaves a "hey, thanks for the tip" comment, or a "this didn't work for me, I'm on a Mac." And by the way, I'm on PC, so Mac-specific stuff, I can't help you there, sorry. But after that, poof, they're gone. The numbers looked fine, but it felt like talking to a wall. And there's one metric I intentionally left out until now: watch time. Short tutorials are a double-edged sword. They're clear and to the point, which people appreciate. But a 2-minute video can only generate so much watch time, no matter how many views it gets. So even when the view counts were solid, the watch time was low, and that matters. I don't regret making those tutorials. I think they genuinely helped people. What I do regret is making them my only type of content just because they performed well. Metrics alone won't sustain you as a creator, but community will. As I said earlier, I quit my job in January, and I've had a lot of time to sit with things. I also turned 40 in December, so I've had even more reason to reflect. And I realized I needed to make some real changes, or I'd stay stuck in this weird limbo indefinitely. But here's the thing. I've been a freelance editor for over a decade, but I've also been a YouTuber for twice that long. Just celebrated 20 years on YouTube over on my personal channel. That's half my life. I've done this as a hobby and as a profession. That's not something you can fit into a neatly packaged 2-minute tutorial. That's a perspective, and one that I've been sitting on. Now, there is also a practical side to all this. Freelancing without building your own platform leaves you completely at the mercy of the market. Anyone who's freelance knows it's feast or famine out here. Some months you're drowning in projects, others you wonder if everybody forgot you exist. Building my own channels gives me something that's mine. a way to market myself, eventually bring in income on its own, and get to a point where I can be more selective about the work I take on. So what changes? I'm going to be talking a lot more about my actual experiences, the realities of freelancing, the creative decisions behind editing, what I've learned over 20 plus years of doing this whole thing. I have a lot to draw from, and I've barely scratched the surface of it here. I'll still do tutorials, but they'll be occasional, not the whole point. Long term, I'd love to put together a full editing course, but we'll get there when we get there. The short version is I'm putting more Andy into Edit with Andy. But I do want to clear up some things. No vlogs, though. That's what my personal channel's for. But I will be bringing in personal experiences as they relate to editing and content creation. Because honestly, the channels I keep coming back to aren't always the ones I learn the most from. They're the ones where I feel like I actually know the person. And that's what I want this channel to be. Now, in these typical I'm back type videos, this is usually the part where I'd give you a posting schedule and a list of what's coming. But things in my life are changing fast right now, and I'd rather not make promises I'm not sure I can keep. But what I can tell you is this. I have new ideas, a new direction, and I actually want to make stuff again. And that's enough for me to get started. And with that said, this is Andy. Signing for now, as always, and forever. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.